Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Java. This is Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. Want to go over a little of what we're expecting today. We will be getting crude oil inventories, housing starts, building permits, and mortgage application data. So this is going to be a lagging indicator, but we also just hit the highest mortgage rates in quite some time. So I expect that to be going down for the next report. The big one we are waiting for is the FOMC minutes, Federal Open Market Committee minutes, coming at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So we'll get Jerome Powell coming and speaking again about the meeting that they had prior to the rate hike that they just did. So I always imagine, it doesn't matter exactly what the numbers are, it's more what they say. And I've spoken about this before. It's their language. They are kind of guiding everything with the words that they use. So I always imagine that before he goes, he's got two books of answers that he always looks down at the podium. And the first one is if the market is lagging too much, then he's got one that says pump it, and he takes that one. Or he takes the other one that says, bring it down if the market's getting a little too high. And then he reads the answers, which kind of says the same thing, but has a different wording and slants things. So anyway, that's just my take. So we are in a high risk zone, came down from over 270 yesterday. We're still very high and in that high risk danger zone. The dollar looks to be down, but in reality, it's still at 103. It's on a high. And the dollar, in comparison to the other currencies that are falling, is remaining strong. And I believe it will continue with this strength until more currencies fall. So they've got quite a few others, the Argentine peso and some others, the ruble we saw coming down, Russian ruble. So oil prices currently 80.93 for a barrel. That may come down a little further, but it will eventually correct as well. Not likely today. We'll see. We've also got markets and futures are looking decidedly down. And more importantly, if you look at gold and silver, it looks like they're finally making a move to the risk off or the safety, flight to safety, because gold and silver always hold value, so they're considered safe. So I came across this clip right before I started doing the putting this together for everybody. And this really kind of upset me, actually. Says the IRS says it's making strides thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, but warns against any budget cuts. Well, of course, they have self-interest in this and they only benefit. So to say that they should stop spending and put in a budget is just, this is ludicrous. I don't know what to say about this other than this is a complete bunch of garbage. So encouraging the Inflation Reduction Act and praising it, saying that we're making strides. They are making strides, nobody else. Okay, so today we are looking forward to the Fed minutes. It's going to be the big thing. Stocks are stalling as they're looking forward to these. August, September, October, typically weak months for equities. We've also got the continued warning from Fitch about multiple banks facing credit downgrades. So more headwinds for US banks, and what they mean are smaller banks. These banks, the smaller banks, what happened back in 2008? They set up a bunch of smaller banks and chose them to be scapegoats for what they knew was coming. They knew the systemic risk would come to a head, and so this is designed. So whether you call it bank consolidation or mergers or just smaller banks going out of business, they will be crushed, especially the ones that don't play along. So they're bundling the high risk stuff that they basically don't want as the junk, or they want to buy back for pennies on the dollar, shoving them onto these smaller banks, making them take all of the risk. And then as these banks close, you will see the mega banks absorbing them. So mark my words on this, and I may go into more depth on this in another thing of why I say these things. But anyway, look for more bank failures in the future. We are not done by any means. Another story goes along with this. China's having weakness, and so they're talking about a lot of the sell-offs in equities due to this China's shadow bank crisis. And this is because of the investor that didn't make their payments for the other days. So now everybody is they're protesting, trying to get the payments. But anytime you put your money in another institution, it could disappear, and they're finding that out. And this is why we always say get your money out of the bank other than what you strictly need to operate with. Understand always that when you deposit to the bank, it becomes theirs. Okay. And then this one, the China hiding more data. So they decided on the news that their unemployment for their youth was rising above the 20% mark. They've decided that they will stop reporting some of these numbers because they don't want to panic their economy and have it become a self-feeding loop. So in light of this, they kind of just banned all of the reports on this coming out. A couple of stories in the crypto sector. Former SEC officials anticipating shifts in crypto after Election Day. Basically, what they're getting at is that if the regime changes and it goes to a conservative Republican Party winner, then Gary Gensler would likely step down. And we've got another SEC that she is much more in favor of cryptocurrencies. So talking about that, and then also, Republicans in general in the United States are a little more favorable towards business as well as cryptocurrencies and less regulation. Along with that is Bank of America talking about PayPal's stablecoin and the FedNow system. So part of what they said I thought was very significant. So first off, they're talking about a Bitcoin ETF. So this is the one that's trying to do this is BlackRock. They're the world's largest asset manager, and I've spoken about them before. And more important, there was a quote from Bank of America. This is it. Over the long term, we expect PYSD to experience additional adoption headwinds as competition from CBDCs and yield-bearing stablecoins increases. End quote. So PYSD is the PayPal stablecoin, and CBDC stands for central bank digital currencies. So they just admitted as competition from central bank digital currencies and stablecoins. So they already know these are coming out. They're just still telling their topical tales, if you will, that there won't be central bank digital currencies and that they're not going to take part. So we will be seeing that coming up. So now for a couple of updates. And these are a little off. But anyway, the Russian attack on the Ukrainian port, talking about this is their major import-export area for the wheat that they provide to many other countries. So they're talking about how that's going to increase prices. And then the other thing we know about the food, and then with the rice being banned, those prices are going up. This story, amid growing hunger, Americans turn to fast food, whose workers say they can't afford to eat. So basically what they're getting at is that their workers don't make enough to afford the fast food. So that is a real showing of real wages versus inflation. They're working the same job and now they can't afford to eat the same food. And we're watching food banks that are increasing tremendously, needing help. They've got people that are going back on the social systems in order to get food. And they talk about this food insecurity. They mean hunger. More people are going hungry. And if any of you are hungry, I am so sorry for this because this will continue for a while. And if any of you can, I encourage, if you can, help out your local food banks or donating to them if you can, because this is going to be even larger problem moving forward, and homelessness. So this is the real economy that is going on right now. And we just need to stick together. As I says, we are a community. I love this community. You guys are wonderful. Stick together. We know we can trade silver amongst one another at the very least. And I just want to say that I can be reached at my email address, pyroclasticenergy@gmail.com. And I'm pretty accessible. So if you have any questions or anything that you would like to address, not in the comments. You can reach me here. Other than that, especially if you've made it this far, I appreciate you sticking with me. Please hit the like button if there's anything you do indeed like, and subscribe if you'd like to hear more. So with that, I would like to wish you all a green trading day, or just a wonderful day in general. And my friends, until I see you again, stay free.